Hey there, good evening. It's Mark, and it's an evening time reading from the Golden Present. So this is for March 29th. This is one of my favorites. I love the heading, A Teepee on Mars. The mind is restless. It is always looking for a change. That is the nature of the mind. It can never be satisfied. It might rebel and want you to go live in a teepee in the mountains. After a while, it won't be happy with your teepee on the mountaintop. It will think that only putting a teepee in the valley will make you happy. Once you are in the valley, it will want a teepee on Mars. There's no limit for the mind's restlessness. You have to educate the mind. Ask it, why do you want to go to the mountain? To find peace there. Why do you want to come down? I'm tired of that and want to be with people. What does it all mean? That you are trying to borrow happiness from outside. Once you realize that peace and joy are always within you, you will be happy no matter where you are. Whether you are in the valley or in the mountains, it is the same thing. Whether you are on the earth or on Mars is the same thing. Wherever you are, you should have a purpose. Go to the mountain for a purpose. Come down for a purpose. And don't let that purpose be a selfish one. The purpose should be for the benefit of others, for service to humanity. That's a good point there at the end, talking about through restlessness we might take action. So let ourselves know what a purpose is. So it's not like we shouldn't put the teepee here or put the teepee here or there, but to know what is the purpose for that action and to make sure that it's coming from, as best we can, one that's thinking of others, maybe even for the benefit of others, certainly not to harm others. And I'd say that's probably easier said than done in a lot of instances, because sometimes we don't realize we might be causing harm, or our desire for our gain outweighs somebody else's humanity or existence. And so we'll do something, like the pipeline. That was, on some level, some people think that's to bring benefit to many. But on others, they're recognizing how they're being unconscious, the Dakota pipeline. They're being unconscious of the harm that it potentially would create for people. So it's just this interesting thing that happens, back and forth throughout our history, where we see, for the sake of progress, things that'll happen. I imagine on some level there's difficulty, but on another level, when we check ourselves and we think about, the choices we make, I always talk about this, can we connect the dots to the source of where it's coming from? So a good example, because I just recently saw a program that spoke about a lot of the deforestation that's happening, and even the fires that happen that are being created to build more land, to grow crops, to feed our livestock. And there's some amazing number of fields that are grown specifically for soy and corn, that aren't for us, but to feed livestock that we are then using to create the meat products in markets. And so much of what we're learning is that we don't need such a huge and heavy diet on animal products, but somewhere along the line there was marketing that said we do need this. And then we've now fixed ourselves on this idea that is what it means to have a healthy diet, to have a certain amount of meat in it, or we've just reached a place of addiction with the way of eating. And I know it's very complicated, but I can't help when I see some of these programs. I can't remember if this was put in the Game Changers, this movie that's not too old, or if it's something I then watched after, about letting food be thy medicine. But it's same conversations where we'll not recognize that our actions could be coming from a place of repetition of habit, repetition of an addictive cycle, versus thinking creatively about new solutions that can benefit others? Does that come from a place of, we're a restlessness where the creativity isn't bursting open, new ways of seeing basically old thoughts. They're looking at, I think it was in the Game Changers, they saw that, the gladiators were primarily all vegetarian, had a plant-based diet. So it's not that this is new information. It's just somewhere things got twisted and we have, accepted it. Okay, back to the teepee on Mars. The mind is restless. It's sort of the theme. And I get it. I mean, I can relate. And this is the importance of having some kind of a practice that helps us channel the information and not get distracted and pulled by things that are the message of marketing and people who have other interests than our best interest. But one that helps us focus clearly on what is going to help us live and thrive. And it can be hard to follow that direction for the mind because it's almost like we're a culture designed on distraction. There's so many things that can pull us. And I mean, so it takes some kind of daily practice to strengthen the muscle of focus, of concentration. And these are the pathways of yoga, doing a practice on your mat to focus the body and the mind and the breath. And then a meditation practice to focus the breath, to begin that effort of concentration towards that single pointedness. And then that just naturally leads you towards that meditative state where there's actually more access to the power of the mind. We're settling for a limited access for the most part because we've just been given so much information around us that feels like that equals life, and not enough awareness that there's more to life than what we see. And that's what the teachings are helping to guide us and to help the mind, channel that wisdom rather than getting scattered. I hope this wasn't too scattered. You just sort of can tell when I hear certain things in my mind, references experiences that I've had where it's like a metaphor, but literally my plate has been just a mess of all different kinds of foods, and then getting clear on like what foods actually fit on this plate and what actually makes sense. So thanks for watching. I hope this was useful in some way, and I'll see you soon. Bye.